क्या हाल चाल है? और कॉलेज शुरू हो गए फुल फ्लेजेड?
Yeah, college, we've been coming since July.
हम्म.
We still haven't allowed students to come. आते रहते हैं, they come and go one by one for some work or the other. But full-fledged physical classrooms haven't been started yet. Although we've got the permission from 15th onwards.
From 15th, right? But do you intend to begin then, or you want to have it in a staggered manner, or what?
Yeah, in a phased manner.
In a phased manner, okay.
Not immediately, not this month. Maybe a little later. And 50% attendance is required, so that's how we'll see how we can take it.
Perfect.
But, immediately, so we have no plans at all.
Okay. But how are the students? Are the students willing to come?
Oh, they are just wanting to come back.
I'm sure it must have been.
I had conducted a short survey, a meeting, how would you like it? Physical classes or online should continue. Everyone put it, ma'am, physical.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, let me tell you, there's nothing to replace human touch and plus studying with your friends, getting to college, talking to your friends, meeting the teachers. So I'm sure, but I don't know, there could be a set of students who would still prefer कि ठीक है online ही चलने दो इसको, मतलब
quite a few of them.
Probably this session today will describe most of it.
It's like, your reading habits. Do you want to read the book, or do you want to read it on Kindle or online or something like that? Those who got used to, enjoying the smell of a book and a paper and going through the book will never ever take up to online reading. I'm one of them.
That's what we think, but ask the new generation and this is कौन book लेके घूमेगा है ना हमारे पास.
बिल्कुल.
Reena, has Yogesh Deshpande joined?
Yeah, Yogesh is there.
Hello, Shiv.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the session. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good. Very good. Cycling on?
Yes. Today I did 30 kilometers.
Fantastic.
क्या बात है?
I didn't see you today, Shiv.
No, Futala has been now, they have a cement road, so I really don't run there anymore. I'm doing university campus and Air Force ke piche, I'm taking that running route. And cycling, of course, I go to Patan Saungi, I take the highway.
Okay.
Varun, you're there? Is Varun there?
Sheetal is there.
Okay.
So I guess a minute to start?
Yeah, we'll just wait for 2 minutes.
You want to wait for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, I think so. Atul, you have logged in as what?
Yes, ma'am. I'm logged in here.
Good.
So the student panelists are here?
Yeah, they're all there.
All right. Okay. So can we request the panelists to mic?
Sheetal, you'll have to mute everybody. And
लेक्चर चालू
Actually, everybody is into so many webinars and Zoom calls.
Yeah.
And like Atul said, in and out of meetings, in and out of Zoom calls and Zoom meetings.
I think we should start.
Yeah, I intend to. Right. So very well then. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Reena Sinha. I'm chairing the Education Forum for Vidarbha Economic Development Council. I am joined with our president, Shiv Kumar Rao, our colleagues Varun and Sheetal and other colleagues from Ved Council, and our eminent panelists, Dr. Amishi Arora, Professor Yogesh Deshpande, the young and dynamic Atul Krishna, as well as Tanvi Bakal. So, just about 6 months back, we had a webinar on which we talked about online education, acceptance, rejection, is it the new normal? And today, after 6 months, we are saying back offline education. We are to that. Acceptance, rejection, what do we do with that? So we have got quite accustomed to the online education, and now the timing is right. Just after Valentine Day, all of you are expected to join college. Well, that's another smart move by the government, that they want you to, all the student crowd out here want you to enjoy your Valentine's Day outside of college and then come back seriously to college. So that's great. So before we start the deliberations, I request everybody to kindly mute, and I request the host Sheetal to mute everybody except the speakers. And I would like to introduce the panelists. Dr. Amishi Arora, a good friend and a renowned educationist. She's director of the Central India Institute of Marketing, Research and Development, SIMBAD as we call it, right? And Amishi has been a very, very prominent person in the education field, and she has many mentoring activities that she has been performing for the students. A lot of guidance. She's got phenomenal administrative skills, and we look forward to listening to Amishi. Welcome, Amishi.
Thank you. Thank you for that very flattering introduction too.
Our pleasure. Dr. Yogesh Deshpande. When I spoke to him first, it was as if I knew him from donkey's years, and Shiv had rightly said that he's a great friend of his and a very, very positive person. He is the professor of psychology, Department of Humanities and Social Sciences with VNIT. He's an HRD trainer, as well as he works for the Ministry of Education as head for DASA admissions. And he again is a mentor and has got many research papers to his credit. Tanvi Bakal. Hi Tanvi, how are you? It was lovely talking to you. Very sweet girl. She's a BBS student from CIM BRD, and she has a mind of her own. From whatever I've spoken to her, she is got a lot of inputs, insights to give us. Atul Krishna. Yes. Atul is a dynamic young man, and he's a final year student of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department from VNIT again. And he's already placed with Deloitte. And the entrepreneur in him, he's running his startup, College Time, which aims in grooming students from the first year itself with proper mentorship and training so as to become career oriented in this highly competitive world. And he has a very interesting, yes, I mean, he's an entrepreneur, I would say, and he has some very interesting insights and very, very positive insights. It will be lovely listening to Atul. Hi, Atul, welcome. I may now invite our president, Shiv Kumar Rao, to give his opening remarks and before we start the deliberations. Shiv. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Unmute. Huh.
Sheetal, please unmute the panelists as well as Shiv.
Thank you, Sheetal. Thank you, Reena. I think I had suddenly lost control over everything because I couldn't unmute myself. But thanks a lot, and welcome Dr. Deshpande, Dr. Amishi Arora, and Tanvi and Atul to this wonderful panel discussion. As Reena rightly said, in April 2020, immediately after the lockdown, we started, in fact, with a webinar which said that online education, the need of the hour. And during that webinar, most of the speakers somehow pointed to say that perhaps henceforth, online classes is something that will continue, and physical could be only an option. And that was the thinking at that point of time. And over a period of time, I think while I have been talking to various people from different stratas, each one has an opinion of their own. Most of them feel that physical is something that can't be replaced. And I'm sure each one of them, whether the teacher or the student, has had their fair share of a positive experience as well as something that they have missed during their physical classes. But to my mind, I think human touch, eye contact, body language, students' reactions to teachers is something that is irreplaceable. I'm sure the teachers also had to undergo a tremendous difficulty because they have been used to teaching, taking physical classes during their entire career, and suddenly moving to online was extremely difficult. But now they have all got used to it, and I'm being appreciative of the teachers. They have all got so used to that mode of online teaching, because ultimately it's with practice that they have developed this technique of online teaching. So they could have a mixed view. But somehow, I think a general human emotion is, till such time that online learning is an option, everybody wanted it. The moment it became the only form of learning, then I guess suddenly there were reactions from both sides. But I'm here to listen to all the panelists, and I'm sure the attendees who are here will find this deliberation very meaningful, and look forward to an interesting session. One more from the Education Forum of VED, and wishing you all the best and excellent deliberation. Thank you so much. Reena, over to you.
Thank you, Shiv. So, like Shiv rightly said, and what we have been discussing for 2 minutes just before we started officially, is there are a lot of questions now. There is a lot of excitement, but a lot of things are going on in our minds as to what happens when college starts on 15th of February. So like Amishi was just saying that they have been going to college, the teaching staff has been going to college, but the students have not yet come. So there's a lot of responsibility on the academicians as well as to how to take this forward. So we will be basically deliberating on a couple of aspects of this particular debate, back to college, where we look at the acceptance, like we say, we are looking at the general feeling that everybody is raring to go to college, don up there and get on with the physical classes. The acceptance, the adaptation to this new semi-normal, I would like to say, the combination of online as well as the offline mode, the discipline involved, not just by the authorities, but a lot of self-discipline that each one of us who's involved in this education pedagogy has to follow. The changing habits. Yes, we have been given a lot of dosage of Amitabh Bachchan's voice and all of that, and Duri and Haath Dhona and all that. But let us see how much we discipline ourselves when we are actually in contact, because so far we have been, I would say, cocooned in our own homes, in the security of our homes, and now we are out in the open. So let's see what is the discipline that we follow in terms of the academics. The changing habits, the civic sense, because it's not just about ourselves, it is also about the people around us. So the civic sense which is involved in this particular aspect. Awareness of others and their welfare. Like, it is a responsible situation for all of us. Awareness of what entails in this entire process when we are back to education, back to college, and we start this new process. And how do we adapt ourselves to this hybrid pedagogy? Because like Amishi was also saying, and we've been reading in the newspapers, that is going to be a 50% and 50%. 50% attendance is mandatory, is what we hear. And what happens to the other 50% who are not able to come in regularly, who are located in remote places, who are not still probably have given up their hostel accommodations? How do they come back? How are they going to take it up forward is what we would be looking at. And as we progress further, see, no panel discussion can be successful unless and until all of us participate, those who are attending. So if you have any suggestions or any questions that you would like to ask the panel, please feel free to put that in the chat box as we go along, so that we can take this over towards the end of the panel discussion. I'm also joined by other academicians from various colleges, and I welcome them all. Thank you for joining us. And of course, the student friends who are there with us to attend this particular deliberation. While I was speaking to Deshpande sir, he has done a lot of work, and he sent me a lot of feedback, and he'd done a survey and a series of forwards from him about the students giving their inputs about what is there going to be the reaction. So I would like to invite Yogesh to tell us a little bit about the survey which he has conducted amongst the students.
Good afternoon. And madam, sorry to confess one thing. Initially, in that spurt of enthusiasm, when I got the survey done, immediately you just asked me to have the other side of the coin rather than only. And I teach 2 courses this semester, and I asked Atul and the brigade to tell them to illustrate something what they were facing as far as online teaching was concerned. But again, you used a very controversial word called debate, and immediately it sparked to me like, okay, even though we are not going for a debate, it's always better to have the other perspective. So again, for the panelists and or the other people, those who are present over here, today I'm going to speak, share, and understand my findings, not as a inputs from the students, but the inputs what I have collected from more than 28 teachers who are related to engineering education in Vidarbha. So fortunately, I am educationist, and my core area of research is getting primary data. So I will read some very interesting snippets of the template of the primary data, and then again, as Tanvi and Atul can represent very well their side of school teacher education, then if in case they are not, I will turn the code. Interestingly, I found majority of teachers, they have beautifully adopted to this new trend of learning. Learning is a measurable change in behavior due to practice and experience. And again, let me tell you the rider. The rider says that teaching is an individual-based entity. So when teachers, even the teachers of the engineering institutes from where I collected the data, they found that the technology or the interface called WebEx or Google Meet or Microsoft Team or the whiteboard or the pattern what called the pen club, they only have to adapt to the new technology. And interestingly, 98% of the teachers who responded to this my survey, they were more than satisfied. In fact, they said that the attention span of the student has increased. again, they also came up with a pattern that teachers now, of course, they are going to welcome students with open arms. But now with the new efficiency and the pedagogy, teachers are more to understand the new concept, because all of us, we believe that change was the only permanent thing. And one last interesting finding we found, that the teachers in late 50s and early 60s, because our NITs, we retired at the age of 65. And we have some young teachers who are in the age of late 20s and 30s. So one of the findings was teachers who were in late 50s and 60s, they adopted to technology more. They started enjoying, they have their more screen time, not only in face in power of that of only online interface. They learned how to use Microsoft Teams. They started using more of Google Classroom, and they became more active as far as their WhatsApp groups were concerned. Even the young teachers who were in early 30s, they also adopted the trend. But teachers from the age of 45 to 55, as they had some rigid format of resistance to change, they had still a problem, because when they knew that they are being recorded, they are under CCTV surveillance, and they cannot speak anything just for the masses. So the teachers who used to go for very informal, casual type of teaching, when they found that now everything is recorded with the WebEx, what my institute follows, so suddenly they became more serious, because they found the entertainment value going less in the class. But then 98% of teachers are now satisfied and happy as far as efficiency of delivery of teaching is concerned.
Oh, that's nice, Dr. Yogesh. Very interesting insight indeed. Amishi, you were talking something just before we started, that you too took a feedback from a section of students.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. What is your finding? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to take your permission to share a small video as a tribute to my fraternity, who have done some laudable work in this pandemic time. So I would request someone to allow share screening.
Sheetal, please allow Amishi to screen share. Yeah, Amishi.
Yeah. Just give me a second. One of the many drawbacks of online teaching.
I request students not to write anything on the screen, please. Yeah, Amishi, are you on?
Yeah, yeah. Is that visible?
Yeah.
And audible?
You'll have to increase the size, maximize this.
Yeah. This is a tribute to the people of my fraternity.
No, it's not coming yet. No, Amishi, it stopped.
Okay. Wait, let me start again. That is visible?
Yeah. That's really interesting. Actually, very creditable the way teachers. I mean, there were a few people who never stopped working during the pandemic, and teachers were one of those. And like Dr. Deshpande has already said, the challenge in adapting to technology was tremendous at that point of time, and very interesting insight that the seniors took more to the technology, and that really brought out. So a great video, though the volume was not very audible at a particular time. But Amishi, what do you feel now is going to be the student's perspective, as well as, see, you have you are the head of the institution. So for you, there is a lot of challenge involved, because it's not just about yourself or your class, it's about the entire organization, where you have to look at not just the teachers, who are of course waiting with open arms, as Yogesh said, but also right from the security person to the student to the parent who is so skeptical. So how are you taking this thing forward?
Reena, we had hosted a conference sometime back, an e-conference, and our subject was the new normal. And the subject was new normal, evolving scenario in business and economy. So there was a lot of contribution, and some of the teachers had contributed a paper. They did a survey about what challenges the faculties had to face, and what is the perception of teachers and students for online classes. A lot of results similar to what Deshpande sir has shared with us. A few things apart from that was they initially faced the challenge, but now they have started feeling that this is more their cup of tea, online education. And students are also have adapted well. Of course, there have been certain challenges, like especially in our case, our students are from Mofussil areas where availability of bandwidth is a question, where affordability of the bandwidth is also a question, and that has been the challenge. In fact, I was surprised to know from one of my students that she had no access. She doesn't have a mobile phone, and I said, I can't believe that you don't have a mobile phone. She said, yes, we have only one at home, and my father takes that to work, and so we have this difficulty. And I'm sure we all know, with our maid servants and all who've faced this problem.
Yeah, but now there's good news for them. They can come back to college.
They can come back. So this was a challenge at that time, and people adapted to it well, and now they have the choice of coming back. So the scenario ahead, I believe, would be of a blended mode of education. We've had overcome the initial challenge, we've adapted, we've become comfortable with the online mode, and now that we are required to be starting physical classes from the 15th, all educators and even parents are a little skeptical about sending their students, and we are also not too keen to take on board all the students. As I was sharing with you earlier, we'll take it up in a phased manner, but not this month. From the 15th, we don't intend to start physical classes. We'll continue the online mode because we're still scared, and in spite of all the norms, safety norms, which we've been advised, we do abide by it. But even then, having students, having more people on the campus is a risk which I, as the head of the institution, would not like to take up. I'm also supposed to be looking after some schools of our Sanstha, and all these schools are in the rural areas. And there we took the feedback of the parents. None of the parents are willing to send their children. Sorry.
So that's an interesting insight, and we'll come back to whatever you would have to start, even though there is a choice. But then, what are the sort of specific actions that you would have thought of, and anybody from the academic area like Deshpande sir would also give an insight into whether a special task force has been assigned for this particular, this welcoming back to kind of a thing. Atul.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you have to say about this? I mean, teachers are waiting with open arms. I hope they're all vaccinated. All right. What is your view about this open arms and the fact that now students are wanting to come, students should be coming back? Teachers are ready, according to Deshpande, sir.
So actually now in like from BNIT, if I'm saying the perspective, it has to vary from year to year. Perspective has varied. It can be first year is different, second year, third year, and final year is different. I will start with the final year perspective. That is my current batch itself. So in the final year perspective, the most important thing on campus is to get a job, get that placement out there, get it done. So once you get the placement out, you are like completely unloaded from your career concerns. You have to enjoy your life. Now that is the perspective. So any final year, if we normally look 2 or 3 year past back, the Instagram handle of those people will be always saying hashtag one last time, hashtag one last time, hashtag one last time. These things are always going to pop up. Last Axis, last Arohi, whatever the events they attended, it will all trending around. And that is exactly the same vibe that they all want right now. But in between this point, if you are not placed, and perhaps also even if we look at the VNIT report, around 50% only people have been placed. So bringing the other 50% also unplaced people on campus, it will just create a more concern problem or more career concerns for them, since their batchmates have been placed, their lovely ones have been placed, but they are not placed. And even if you try to motivate them or talk to them, it will just create more depression. I in fact have talked to a lot of people during this lockdown time who are my real close friends and who have not been placed as well. But in this all mindset, what I should understand is that they are not really inclined when I am telling about which my company has been placed or how I should go for enjoyment or a vacation planning. What they are concerned is how much I can help them to crack an interview, or how can I support them for an HR level, whatever exam is going on. At the same time, even for the final years, it's a very good opportunity, since the lockdown, the academic pressure has been reduced a lot, and so they could focus more on different exams that are happening around. It can be for CAT, GRE, GMAT, and even to right now GATE is going on. So all these exam preparations also, it has really helped them out. So for this full planning, now they are cut off from that core circle of friends who are
So
enjoying.
according
Now
to
they
you,
are completely focused on
what
themselves.
you're trying to basically say is that the final year students is a divide. Those who have been placed, those who have not been placed, and bringing them all on a common platform could lead to a sort of a confusion or a conflict or a
100%.
question.
Yeah,
What about the
definitely
first year and
for
the
the
second year
second.
and third year that you were talking about? What about them? Should they not be coming back to college?
So second year, so second. So what I strongly suggest here is the second years and third years should be brought back to colleges as soon as possible, because what their curriculum goes out is like more on the perspective of building for the future. Like every subject will have a prerequisite for it once they're learning in engineering. Let's say for electrical engineering, we will start from machines, then we'll go for power electronics and those aspects. So if a person who's already at home in the second year and is not understanding the concept that clearly, or isn't motivated enough to learn the second phase of it, so they will automatically lose touch out of it, and they are being canvassed by a lot of people who are going CAT coaching or software development skills. These companies, everyone is tapping them up, so their main interest in these core areas is dropping down, and creating that thing is not exactly a good idea at all for the second and third years. They need to be in the campus, they need to get that exposure from the teachers, and they should feel inspired to be taking that branch. For the first years, that we consider as the explorer age in the campus, like they come to campus, take a cycle, have a roam around in the campus, understand each and every building where it is located, which club is present there. All these aspects has to be covered, and to cover that they need seniors over there, they need their friends, their seniors, colleagues, who will help them, guide them, who will interact with them, have their life more memorable for them.
Fabulous.
So first years definitely.
You've really taken all of them into consideration, and it's a very good insight. First year should come back, explore. Good word for first years, explorers. Second year, third year, as well as final year. Yes, final year is a concern as far as you're concerned. And you seem to be one of those, since you are into mentoring, that you're concerned about those people who are not yet placed. So, Atul, how about all of you joining together, and a good mentorship program can be arranged by those of you who have already been placed for these youngsters who've not been? So should they not come back to college?
So, ma'am, it totally depends upon the person's perspective. If the person is feeling depressed because at home there's definitely a family pressure going around you, so some people just want to exit from that side. There are people like that, and there are people who are family supporting them, but they're depressed about joining with their friends. So it should be made completely optional for the final years on what perspective they want to choose, but compulsory for the second and third years. And finally, its first year should be taken in the last account. That is my perspective.
Very well.
Without seniors, there's no sense in bringing final.
Okay, very well said. Tanvi, where are you? What is your perspective? Wanting to come back?
Yeah, of course, sure. We are really missing college days, and I guess that during the lockdown, we completely shifted from offline studies to online studies, and which was intriguing and tricky at the same time. But now, as they say, the show must go on, so we should accept the new normal and should go back to the college. And I feel like a physical classroom is where we can connect with our colleagues, we can connect to our teachers. One of our faculties once said that he could not understand whether we are getting the concept or not because he could not see our facial expressions or read our body language. So I really think that a proper classroom decorum is not maintained when we are doing an online class or we are attending a webinar. So I feel that we should really go back to physical classes as things are going to back to normal. And looking at the bright side, it will be more fun to join the classroom right now, and of course with all the safety guidelines given by the government. And I feel that there are some students who cannot invest in devices or any proper internet connections, and they sometimes feel deprived that okay, we cannot participate in online classes, or it creates a sense of isolation amongst them. So I feel that if government is now allowing us for having physical classes, so yeah, we should go back to our physical classes, and it will be really a great time going back to college. And I feel that the online study gives us the time for self study and utilizing our own work in some productive work. But it sometimes creates a confusion that okay, now if we are connecting on a class, and then if we are doing any lecture or any class, at that time if any notification pops up from another app, our concentration level goes down somewhere, and we don't have that acceptance, the attentiveness is not there at all. That's some big issue I was facing. And
डिसेबल डिवाइसेस नहीं किया था आपने फिर व्हाट्सएप खासकर हाँ
ma'am, at earlier stages it was not at that moment we did not yeah. So at the very first we did not like expected that this would happen or anything like that would happen. So yeah, but then of course after some time it was tricky, as I said. Then we came back to the proper schedule for that also, and yes, then it was all sorted.
Good. So you are really looking forward to coming back to college.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you. Yeah.
I just wanted to say one thing. When the whole thing started on 17th of March 2020, it was the small 2-line notification from the Ministry of Education that the students, those who are staying in a hostel, should vacate their rooms immediately the same day. On campus, we have 4,800 plus students. So when all these 4,800 students went back exactly the same night, it was not by choice or compulsion by the management or by the students' fraternity or the teachers' fraternity. It was by the nodal agency called the ministry that they asked us to vacate. The second part is now all of us, we know, like VNIT, again, that time it was after the students vacated, it became the CCC, COVID Care Center. And interestingly, Amishi madam can just explain to us in a very more lucid manner something called Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Maslow said our needs are arranged in a very hierarchical manner, from physiological needs to safety needs to love and belonging needs to esteem needs to self-actualization needs. Our needs are arranged. That time, physical presence and the well-being of the individual candidate was more important rather than going for the learning or teaching was concerned. And all of us, we know how the disease was stigmatized. Unfortunately, in our family, we had series of COVID patients. My own father-in-law died due to COVID. And the worst part was when this thing happened till October, the stigma attached to that disease was so overpowering. People, they did not talk to you. People did not have a courtesy to have the word with you. The faculties from campus, because we joined teachers on campus, we joined on 1st of May. So again, on VNIT also, even we had 900 plus people who were quarantined that time. And that sticker that this house contains or includes someone who's suffering from the
Yeah,
COVID
there was
pandemic.
definitely, yes.
So that typical stigma and social fear was so overpowering. So even then, in fact, that was one of the part. Atul said that one hashtag Goa, one hashtag place is interestingly emulating. But on theoretical ground, we have to understand that this basic segment or the order came from the ministry or the government in the case of the Maharashtra Shasan. So teachers were as helpless like as the students. So even in case when I say that I'm ready to welcome my students with open arms, we are equally concerned. 4,800 students coming to campus. Now no one goes for the quarantine. You know how people have learned to take paracetamol to reduce their body temperature. In that case, what is more important in the hierarchy? So again, and like Dr. Tanvi says, like one notification from WhatsApp is equally disturbing. Equally disturbing is the perfume what the other boy is putting in, and equally disturbing is a very colorful dress what the girl she is wearing. So always we have the different hurdles by which we will be having off and on. But again, all of us we have to understand the important thing. It was not forced from the teacher's side. Teachers were equally helpless. We have to learn what we call the learned helplessness, and that is the major issue what we're talking about.
Very well, very well. Amishi, I have a question for you. We all have been reading that there's 50% of one set of people will come, and then the next day the other 50% will be coming. So will it not result in a duplication of effort from the teaching staff? And like Deshpande sir was just saying that, the teachers are as well very skeptical, and, they're also wondering how it's all going to be. So the stress levels are anyway very high. So it's not just about students being excited to come here, but then, there's a lot of responsibility on the teachers. And now with the duplication of work, which is going to happen. So how is that going to be tackled in the colleges?
Reena, you're very right about this duplication of work, because if we are going to be teaching 50% of the students one day and as in the second lot another 50%, it would amount to repeating our classes. In this, what we have done in our schools which are there in the rural areas, because as I mentioned earlier, most of the parents were unwilling to send their student there. So we decided to do both online and offline simultaneously. Like the teachers' lectures are recorded and then they are uploaded on the YouTube. And those who were not able to be there in the classroom could access those lectures from the YouTube. So that was what we did for the school children. But for us, we intend to continue online for some time. And we were saying that show must go on. Here I'd like to say that the show never stopped for us. We did everything what we would otherwise do in a regular normal college days. We did conferences, we did workshops, and now we intend to do a cultural fest of students online. So we intend to invite applications of students participating in dance and fashion shows and everything. They've got to video record themselves and upload it, and it's going to be intercollegiate competition as well. So nowhere does the show stop, and we intend to carry this on for some time till we are assured that now the situation is absolutely safe and we can start with physical classes.
So yours is more of a wait and watch kind of a
yes, absolutely
for your college, which is fair enough. Now, like I was coming, I had originally asked you, Amishi, and even Deshpande sir, since he's been into counseling. Are there any counseling teams which have been set up by the colleges to, sort of counsel students who are now in this confusion state? And this question is not just to Amishi and Deshpande sir, but this question is also to Atul and Tanvi, that you being leaders, student leaders, or you being representatives, and you have been mentoring students, would you like to take up something like this, that probably set up a counseling or a mentorship sort of a cell where you can handhold those students who are in a confusion state of mind, because those who can come, of course, would be getting the physical learning, but those who are just not able to come now, despite the permissions, how do we handle their concerns? So who would like to take this question first?
Reena, we have the system of dividing all the students amongst our lot of faculties, and each one has a particular number of students under them as mentees. And they're supposed to be mentoring them not just on academic issues, but also on such kind of non-academic issues as well. It's there, but there have been very few students who've come forward, and there have been very few instances where our faculties have been required to take up such kind of counseling sessions. Maybe also because students are mature enough, and BBA students are the undergrads, but MBA students have never felt the need for any kind of mentoring as such. Otherwise, also, it is undergrad students who are more active and are more vibrant in their participation. So this has been constrained only to the undergraduates, and we haven't seen a lot of many postgraduate students involving themselves in this activity. It's there. But
sorry. Deshpande sir, you have something in mind like this for a counseling?
No, I will tell you. On papers and in execution, we have excellent student mentor program where the students like Atul, they mentor the students. That's perfectly all right. But interestingly, I will give the statistics. The number of people who logged in for that so-called online counseling were the teachers. And for the first time, the family members of the teachers, they realized that how much efforts teachers they have to put to engage the class. Interestingly, spouses or the mother-in-laws has to believe कि भाई class जाना है, college में जाओ, class लो, आराम से बैठो. So one of the teachers, they said that now my family member realized that my tagline should be, I also teach. So teacher has to study, teacher has to go for the PPT, teacher has to update the knowledge, teacher has to see how he or she is going to engage the class, teacher has to go for evaluation, and the most important part is teacher has to study and go for a interesting at least 90 minutes for that 50 minutes module. And interestingly, it found that all the parents, and the worst part was, mine is a government institute, so we are blessed. But let me tell you very bad statistics about the Vidarbha. Again, it's Vidarbha Economic Development Corporation. One college, which is there on the exclusively on the Katol Road, I will not name them, excluding one college, all 54 engineering colleges, they deducted the salary of the teachers for all these 9 months. So maximum salary which was given to this teacher was not more than 35K. So this is one statistics. For example, when it hinges between the whims and fancies of the management. One big institute which runs 8 colleges on the Hingna Road, they retrench, or they just give that so-called pink chip to 120 teachers. The highest salary.
That is again a very college and a management specific issue, but like you're saying, what my question originally was that would we be having any counseling tasks?
I will tell you. When a teacher, again, let's see, theoretically, I can say all the colleges, they have for the NAAC accreditation something called teacher mentor program. It is a mandate to get that 6 points to show that you have excellent holistic pedagogy. But the teacher whose 75,000 rupees are not being paid for the salary, how you expect that he or she will be discussing something for, again, and the questions were more technical. For example, my institute, again, I am not putting in the same league. But then when we wake up in the morning, we have more than 120 notifications in our WhatsApp group, which otherwise would have been solved at, again, what Atul's level, where the peer learning was possible. As the peer learning is not possible. For example, in my campus or on my campus, majority of the students are on Telugu. So again, I can give the very technical example, but then interestingly, a very trivial query which would have otherwise been dissipated and solved at the peer learning pattern, which came to us for the different pattern. But again, as far as the VNIT is concerned, we have very formal, informal, successful template of the teacher guardian scheme. But interestingly, excluding the so-called deviant cases, it's not only for the online teaching, because we have the counselors and psychiatrists on board since last 25 years. So the people having the borderline personality, neuroticism, isolation, or having some other tendencies of schizophrenia or the OCDs, they were referring to. But as far as the online teaching was concerned, they never had any specific issues. But again, just to wind up with this point, teachers, as they were paid less, automatically the integrity engagement on the part of the teachers were also rampantly damaged during this pandemic time. We might agree to disagree, but again, that is my observation.
What sir has said, here is a case where teachers also would need counseling.
Yeah, so that is what we when we were talking about duplication of work and the other things, basically it's more of an emotional counseling that is required. And I don't know whether I see Rita Agarwal here. She was to join us. She would have been able to give us some insights on this particular aspect. Atul, what do you think? Would you like to take up a role where you would like to take up a leadership role in counseling your friends? कि आना है नहीं आना है, accept करना है. In short, please. Yeah.
So an interesting point in this thing is, once I was in my first year, so I was walking through my campus, and there were some people who were trying to catch me in for a pyramid scheme or a multi-level marketing. So it was not just me. There were so many people, thousands of first years, second years, they're trying to catch them for a multi-level marketing schemes as well. And they converted also a few of them. And now recently I'm getting messages from my juniors, should I join such schemes? Should I start making money now? Can I make so much money? So
these are all. The question is very specific to the aspect that should encourage or discourage or mentor students to come back to college.
So ma'am, the point here is what we need to create is an ambience of a college radio or a campus radio, an ambience we have to create through an app perhaps or something, rather than just having a bunch of people counseling around. We should have at least a campus radio properly at the time from 6 to 7 or whatever time that we can give. We give college news, some relative things, so that these guys can have a connection or a mutual connections built with these people to the campus level. Then when we step down to individual peer-to-peer mentoring, that will be the best thing. But starting a campus radio will be the best thing that we can do.
Oh, that's a good takeaway. Campus radio is a good takeaway that we can think of. Amishi, I had a question for you. Placements under these unusual circumstances, how do you handle that, or any college for that matter? That, from what even I have been gathering when I speak to the educationists and we talk about campus placements, and the general feedback is that students are not either prepared or students are not willing to come online to give the interviews. And so how is the placements going to be affected? Or do you think with coming back to college, and will industries come back for your interviews and things like that?
Reena, if I have your permission, my placement officer is also online with us. He has joined us. Shall I ask him to contribute?
Yeah, in short, please. If
okay. Virendra Dasawal, Professor Virendra Dasawal is with us. Can you switch on, unmute yourself and switch on your video?
And Virendra, if you can. So while we are getting Virendra on the line, there is an interesting, very interesting, I would not say a question, but an observation that once a student comes back to college, will that partialism and all those things start, all of that. So now that here I would like to, since I'm an educationist myself, online or offline, if anybody has to be partial, can be, but I'm sure now the COVID and the pandemic has really taught us human beings a lot of things. And there's a lot of self-improvisation, self-realization that has happened to people. So let's hope that these kind of things will not be much in action now, because jaan hai to jahan hai, and that is what people have realized, at least in these last 6-7 months. So I would still be very positive about it, and would say from the fraternity, from academicians, that offline or online, a teacher is supposed to be a fair person, and let's see, let's hope that it's going to be so. Now, another is Virendra there on the line? unmuted himself. As far as placements, can we throw some light on that?
Well, he is here. I can see his name, but we are not able to reach out to him. Maybe.
So Amishi, if you can...
so okay, I'll just share my thoughts in this. Reena, we had a lot of issues and problems for internships. You know, once internships are done well, then placements follow pretty well. So the first last year when summer internship was supposed to take place, a lot of students were not able to get internships because of this lockdown situation. Then we had Intershala and we had other opportunities offering online internship facilities. So some of my students did take up and did a lot of work through that platform as well. But 100% could not do it. So that was one drawback. And now that we are back to the campus, students are not coming, but placements are taking place. So students are invited. We have these online interview sessions and companies are coming. So nowhere again, I'll repeat, nowhere again the show has stopped. We are having companies over, we are having placements being done, we are having students facing the interviews, maybe not from the college campus, but from their own premises. So that goes on. The problem was that we are running one program, which is a vocational program associated with Tata Institute of Social Sciences, which has 70% on the job teaching component, only 30% classroom and 70% on the job. So we did not take admission for those courses this year because 70% on the job, that is, working with a skill knowledge partner was not possible. So we didn't take any new admissions this year for that. We have two programs, we have in BFSI and we have in pharma. So with pharma, we have 100% tie-up with Lupin, where Lupin recruits these students and they come to us one day for learning. Now, after the pandemic, Lupin has invited back all the students. They were from all parts of Maharashtra, and only 20 of them would be reporting to us from a batch of 56. Only 20 of them would be reporting to us for classes.
Exactly.
20 of them, yeah.
While the placements are happening, from what we can gather from you, there is also a sort of apprehension amongst the people to be relocated outside of their hometowns, and how much of it that they would actually like to take up. Yes. Now, there's an interesting question.
Facing that.
Raj, yeah, sure. What is the mode of conduction of the semester examinations? Is it if it is online, then is it fair? Now again, fairness is something that is not just on the authorities, but it is also on self, because you cannot have a proxy person sitting and answering questions for you. And I'm sure there are a lot of inbuilt mechanisms where there are webcams and other security measures. But from the academic university part question, semester examinations would be offline or online?
We haven't got any instructions, but what I understood from the university authorities, that the institutes individually would be required to be conducting on behalf of the university, like we did last time also. And we will have the option of online, offline mode. It is up to us, whatever mode we want to take up. Last time we did it a total online mode. It was a total MCQ kind of a paper. And we helped the students in a way that we gave them a question bank first. And the questions which were there in the exams were part of the question bank only. So that helped them. Otherwise, MCQs suddenly would have made it very difficult. Now,
the winter examinations are going to be online. That's what the paper said today.
Yeah. No, we will get the option of online or offline. It's good. That option is being left to us. But most of us would, I think, opt out for the online mode, because that is safer and more hassle-free. And now we've got used to it, so we find it more comfortable. Students have also adapted it very well. Now, regards fairness, I would like to say over here, we conducted these exams, or rather Tata Institute of Social Sciences conducted those exams for our courses, and they were very, very strict. You know, it was proctored, and the student couldn't leave the screen. Even going to the loo was forbidden. Even, you know, a lot of things was forbidden. So it was a very, very strict
measures, which technology has been very, very helpful.
Absolutely.
And the best part about technology is that it doesn't wait. I mean, that goes on. You know, it's basically the human who take time to adjust or to adapt, but technology is available, and that's what all of us have realized. There's a good question from
okay.
talks about schools. Yeah, that in case of school students, is it going to impact that over learning since they've virtually missed one full year? So you have certain schools under your
we had regular online classes, so all those who've availed of that benefit haven't missed out anything. We've had evaluation also done online. So nowhere, as I said earlier, also the show has stopped. Everything has been going on. Yes, certain things like physical activities and all those extracurricular activities which happen when there is a physical campus has not taken place. So that is one area where students will not be able to get that advantage. Otherwise, rest, where academics is concerned, complete syllabus has been taken.
That's wonderful. So as we are coming to the close of this discussion, some closing remarks by each one of the panelists. Tanvi, some closing remarks from you. Please unmute yourself. Yes, Tanvi.
Yeah. Ma'am, actually, all the things have been on after the lockdown have been online. So it will be a great opportunity for us to join the physical classes. And I feel that also if there's a 50% of attendance in colleges, we'll still wait for the college to tell us what they are planning for us, as they'll plan a good curriculum or or with all the safety measures they'll plan good things for us. And yes, activities are going on. We are having a culture event shortly, and we are all excited for that. Although it is online, still we are excited for the event. And I think that yes, a new normal can be accepted, and things will be more better after this period of time.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
Deshpande sir, some closing remarks from you.
Yeah, I will take 100 seconds. Okay, 90 seconds I will take. They say that vade jayate tattvabodha. So when we really want to stretch this basic topic, where we really wanted to just have the periphery of the topics to the deep learning of this topic, let me tell you one thing. I had a module there at Hazelab College and one of the modules there at Sauner. There we found that the teachers who were teaching as very interesting subjects like introduction to philosophy, to that of Indian classical music, the teachers, the way they did try to put efforts to make the class more engaging. The line is the basic purpose of education is to get rid of a teacher. So instead of going for the evaluation, where we found the statistics of the Nagpur University came up to 9.2 semester grade pointer. So whether you were attentive or sleeping or you have logged into that pattern, the evaluation was 9+ for everyone. So when we want to understand getting rid of this pattern, I don't go to NIT or IIT because I have learned to bubble the JEE paper. I go to institute because I want to inspire, get engaged, learn, understand the basic values as far as the education process of teaching learning is concerned. So the only take-home advice is, instead of just trying to understand how to make technique more easy or the teaching more efficient, the whole purpose of education, we are at a crossroads to redefine what will be the new normal for the future, not only for India, but for the whole world. And the last couplet again, which is from Taittiriya Upanishad, which says, Ame khalam sancharatam ghananam chaya madhasanugatam nishevya udvejitam vrushti pirashrayante Shungani Yakshani Tapavanti Siddha. It is a mutual process where teachers and students will come together on a path of self-journey and understanding, beyond the height of clouds, where they will only find sunlight. The so-called hurdle of the rains and the black clouds will not be there if in case we have the beautiful bilateral symphony and the tragedy. Thank you very much.
Beautifully put, sir. Thank you so much. Amishi.
Here again, I would like to share a small video just to tickle the funny
Thank you for that.
But before that, I'd just like to say that this past period has been a period of unlearning and relearning. And now we are armed with a lot of new technological skills. So we would like to put that in use, all of us, and enrich our classes. What we were doing, what we were using as technology earlier was the basic, PPTs and Google Classrooms, but we've learned a lot of things and we've had access to some wonderful tools. So that which when we'll be able to use it in the classrooms, I think the classrooms will become far more interesting than what it was earlier. So that will make it easier for all those who've not been able to attend to enjoy that benefit. And there's nothing like physical classrooms, where it's so desolate to see the empty corridors, the hustle and bustle of students coming in and going out. So that's lively and that makes it vibrant, the campus. So we miss all that and we'd love to have everyone back and go back to the new normal armed with new skills now. So just to share with you, it will take a couple of minutes only. Okay, you can go on to the other speakers till I'm able to get back.
All right. Atul, we would like to hear some closing remarks from you. Atul, you're there?
We have to unmute him.
Yeah. I can share this. Can you see?
No, we can't.
Okay, let me share that again.
Atul, Sheetal, please unmute Atul. Sheetal, please unmute Atul.
Yes.
Yeah, Atul, you're on.
Hello. Yes, ma'am. So what I would like to put in here is since the discussion has been very much interesting and I could understand from every faculty as well that they are considering health as an important factor in all these decisions, and whatever the management takes a decision, we as a students will definitely stand by it. And as a senior student, I have got everything, but that is my startup also, my job also, all is dedicated to my college. So to help a junior, it's always I'm open for. So I think the same perspective goes for every student.
Fabulous. So you feel more responsible now, right? Yeah. Well, Amishi, are you set or we are actually past our time?
Okay,
so,
okay.
You have to excuse us with the video.
Yeah.
Right. So wonderful. It was a wonderful discussion and we got a lot of insights. And thank you, Tapish, for getting a new perspective. Yes, we wish.
Tapish has logged in from Australia, madam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. And like all of us have said that change is the universal constant, and every challenge brings an opportunity along with it. So the pandemic has brought in a lot of change and variance in our lives. Look at it as another adaptability challenge. And we definitely have Dr. Darwin to thank for us. We know that we will be able to. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, all the panelists. It was very, very interesting to hear you. Thank you, students who joined us. Thank you, all the academicians. Thank you, Ved Council. On behalf of Ved Council, I formally say a very big thank you to all of you. I hope you all enjoyed the discussion as much as I did to conduct it. Thank you so much, and have a good evening and a good night. Stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.